Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Savannah Arroyo. Thanks for being on the show, Savannah.
Hi. Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Savannah, aka the Networth Nurse, is a full-time registered nurse in Los Angeles, California. She uses her skills as a leader in healthcare operations to manage multifamily syndications. She also helps busy medical professionals create passive income through real estate investing. Savannah, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to meet you personally. I look forward to hearing, just your path to getting where you're at now. And I know you're going to provide a lot of value to the listeners who are in those same shoes. But get us started a little bit, obviously, with your background and your focus right now.
Yeah. So I'm from Sacramento, California. I grew up there. I went to nursing school at Sacramento State University, got my nursing degree, and then worked in a couple of different specialties within healthcare and within nursing. I moved down to Los Angeles, California, and went back to school to get my master's degree in nursing leadership and administration. And right now I oversee multiple departments here at a hospital in LA. I started investing in real estate with single family homes, but then shortly after quickly transitioned into multifamily. And right now we're working mainly on multifamily syndications.
Nice. Well, first, why syndication? Why multifamily? Why not fix and flips or, I don't know, mobile home parks?
Yes, I think this is the most important question when you're wanting to get into real estate. I know when I knew I wanted to start investing in real estate, there was a lot of different strategies and niches that you could get into. A lot of them kind of appeal to different people and different strategies and kind of what you want and need in your life, kind of overseeing that business. And originally, my husband and I were wanting to do the BRRRR method. We live in LA, so we were planning to do it out of state, over in Atlanta, Georgia. And as we began, well, for people who don't know what the BRRRR method is, it's buying a property, usually at really low value, renovating it, pushing that equity into it, renting it out, refinancing to essentially pull out all that capital that you originally put into it, and then repeating the process. So you kind of just use that same bucket of capital and keep doing deal after deal after deal and kind of create this buy and hold method and a bunch of properties that way. That was something we wanted to do. We quickly realized as we were putting out offers and looking at properties that doing a full renovation with all our capital tied into it from across the country just really wasn't going to work for us. I know there's people doing it, people making it work, but for us, we work full time. We have 2 young children, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. And it was just, we realized that was kind of out of our comfort level. And so we bought new builds over there. And those are kind of just hanging out. They were buy and hold. And then after we bought those, we kind of outsourced all our capital in those deals. And we wanted to keep doing more deals. And when I was listening to podcasts, a lot of people talked about syndications and multifamily and just kind of using that to scale your real estate portfolio. And when we were originally learning about syndications, I mean, we had never heard of them before. We were like so blown away with the concept of, wow, like all these investors can come together, pool their capital together and take down these big deals. And we were like, now it makes it kind of a team sport. I mean, real estate's already a team sport, but I was like, this is so cool that you can kind of join forces with other investors. And then as a general partner and an operator of a deal, it really gives you the opportunity to provide this investment strategy to people who otherwise wouldn't invest in real estate. And right now, that's primarily who we're working with in our deals are people who want to get into real estate, but don't necessarily want to do all the heavy lifting. And we get to provide kind of a win-win scenario for everyone.
Nice. Now, I appreciate you sharing just some transparency to it, just how you all got started, why multifamily syndication, even your all's desire to first do the BRRRR method, purchase, single family homes all the way across the country, but realizing that may not be the best route, and just showing okay, you have both full-time jobs, 2 children at home. that's a lot, right? I mean, that's almost another full-time job there. But I thought you could speak to just, getting into this business when, having that kind of, or just the family dynamic at home, working two full-time jobs. It's something we talk about on the show often. However, it's something I get questions about so often, how I got in the space and just craziness, obviously full-time family and moving, all these things while still making all this happen. How did you do that? Shed some light there. There's probably things about, just holding the family unit together while making all this happen in your calendar, while making appointments, speak to that.
Yes. Super important to find your why of why you want to do this in the first place. I know people get into real estate investing for a lot of different reasons. There are a lot of people out there doing different things in real estate. And for my husband and I, when we began searching for investment opportunities, it was really, we wanted to have our money work for us in a passive way. And then as we were seeking out different passive investment opportunities as an LP and syndication deals, we were like, wow, we could do this. Syndication. I mean, what I do in healthcare, I oversee operations. There's a lot of moving pieces, process improvement, a lot of different communication aspects. So for us, it was like, oh, we could do this multifamily thing and make it work, this syndication thing. But the will to be working on it actively as investors comes from really our strong why. When we sat down at the beginning of last year and got really specific of like, okay, we want to create this life through real estate to have these sort of things at 5 years, 10 years. Like these are our goals at 5-year, 10-year. And really for us, it was a lot of more time freedom because we work 2 full-time jobs and have 2 young kids. We wanted to put ourselves in a position 5-10 years down the road where we could be around for our kids, all the extracurricular activity, have that time freedom to go to Hawaii and work over there for a month and kind of hang out there and just be with our kids. And we realized through real estate, we can make that happen. People were making it happen everywhere. And in the traditional W-2 of 9-to-5 jobs, that's not really reality for a lot of people. And so we really wanted to leverage real estate and kind of do both at the same time to kind of make that happen. And so we were like, okay, we want to be here in 5 years. What do we need to be doing at 3 years to make that happen? And what do we need to have done and accomplished at 1 year to get to that goal? And we broke it down into like a month by month, week by week basis of like what we need to be doing on a weekly basis to reach our goal. And it was very specific of like submitting this many LOIs. We need to be talking to this many investors, be doing this many multifamily deals a year. And we just got very specific with the outline and our goals. And it created an action plan of what we needed to be doing to get there. And so even days where it's a long day at work and we're hanging out with our family, because we have that such a strong why, it gives us the motivation to continue to do real estate.
Awesome. No, I couldn't agree more. And just, I share the story often where when I first got into this business and I'd hear people from the stage talk about the importance of your why, that's when I would tune out and say, oh, wait a minute, let's get to the meat and potatoes, like, tell me how to do this. I don't want to hear that nonsense. But however, I quickly learned when my why, when I distinguished what that was exactly, and it was something my whole family could get behind, it just has made the biggest difference in my entire business. But I also love how you thought about the 5-10-year goals and then kind of reverse engineered, right? Well, okay, what do we have to do even to the week and month? It's so smart. And is there anything else you can share about, those weekly and monthly things leading up to even, a year that could help the listener think through maybe things they could be doing as well?
Yes. I have always been a huge goal setter. That's something I've always done, even in my personal life before I got into real estate investing. And I just always sat down with Tony Robbins. He has the most amazing goal setting videos and strategies. I mean, you can honestly find them on YouTube and figure out like really how to set specific goals. And it really is kind of a work, of putting down their strategy behind setting goals. And he really breaks down the different components of that, which is super helpful. If you're not a huge goal setter, you haven't done it very frequently in your life, I would start there and kind of learn how to set goals. There's ways to set SMART goals, like, and different measurements and attainments within them. So that's huge, learning how to do that first. And then you have to pull real estate into it. So if you're kind of new in the real estate world, get in with other people who are doing it. Look who people who are at a spot where you want to be 5-10 years down the road and see what they did to get there. I mean, that was huge for us. And the cool thing about the real estate network that we quickly realized, everyone has such a huge entrepreneur mindset. People are so willing to kind of share their strategies and their tips and tricks. And people are just so juiced off real estate that they love sharing what they're doing. So if you see someone who's, flipping houses or doing Airbnbs, or I know this shows, syndication, doing what you want to be doing, and they're already there in that spot you want to be, ask them how they got there. I mean, people love sharing kind of their journey in real estate, and then it would give you a better idea of what you actually need to do to get there. I mean, for us, it's doing four multifamily deals a year. That's really our goal of how we're breaking that down. Whether through partnerships or on our own. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility in those goal settings. Obviously, you want to be flexible enough to pivot if you start kind of redirecting within those goals. But link up with someone who's doing it and where you want to be.
So speak to just having 2 full-time jobs and kids at home and what your calendar looks like. I get the question often or did when we were doing the same thing. I mean, how do you manage all that?
Yes, it's busy, but it just reminds me to be so much more intentional about my time. When I recently launched my brand and started doing all the social media marketing stuff that goes with that, I mean, I was blown away with the amount of work that takes. It's honestly a full-time job and something that you can be doing around the clock 24/7 because it's all on the internet, and you could be creating content, pushing it out at 2 a.m, if you really wanted to be. So for me, because I'm kind of like a go personality, I love to be working on something. I have to remind myself to kind of step back and take the break, because it's really easy to get exhausted with it, but then also you want to realize why you're doing it. I mean, for my husband and I, we work all day, and then when we get our girls home, we put our phones away and are like very much with our girls at that time, hanging out with them, playing games, playing with them, doing dinner, bath time, bedtime, that sort of deal. And we're very intentional about our time with our girls. And then after they go to bed, that's our time to work on real estate and do some of that stuff. So it doesn't mean that we don't talk about real estate during the day. I mean, we shoot each other texts and calls during the day if we're working on a specific project or putting out an offer, something like that. Even when we're with our kids, it doesn't mean it doesn't come up, but we are very intentional about our time.
No, I like how you mentioned you're intentional with your time with your girls as well. It's like, okay, we can put our phones away and be there, right? And that's hard when you're making all this happen. It is hard mentally to shut that off. I know it is for me. And I have to be very intentional about that. And even another point on that is like allowing my wife or somebody to like give them, say, oh, I need you to help me with this, or like call me out, things like that. So what are you receiving any pushback though, or have you, say, from family or friends saying, Savannah, why are you doing this? You're working so many hours and maybe you're missing out on this thing over here, or, that we used to do together, or anything like that.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that. So when you first get into a couple things, when you first get into real estate and you're kind of starting to have those initial conversations with friends and family, it is kind of like wait, what are you doing? Like, you're doing real estate? Like, for my friends and family, or even my colleagues at work, I'm really just kind of seen as a nurse. That's what I do all day. That's kind of my hat that I wear. And so when I start talking real estate, especially at work with doctors and other nurses, they're kind of like, wait, what? Like, when are you finding time to do this? How are you doing this? Like, why are you doing this? So it kind of is that initial hurdle of like, yeah, this is what I'm doing now. And honestly, as you start doing real estate, if you're as stoked about it as we are, I mean, it comes up like inevitably in every conversation, just realistically, because we're working on it every day. So it just comes up. So by now, I mean, our friends and family do all know that we're doing real estate. We're pretty transparent with that. In regards to kind of questioning from family and friendly, I was actually just having a conversation with my sister about this and kind of just telling her about the work I'm doing on maybe a daily or weekly basis for real estate. And she was like, wow, is that sustainable? Like, can you really put in that many hours? Like, that grinds. Like, do you feel like you're exhausted from it? Like, for instance, today, waking up super early, like 5 a.m. to do this podcast before I go to work. And I was just telling her, like, I love it. Like, it doesn't feel like work to me. Like, I love it so much of like, connecting with other people and networking in that respect and kind of just building something from the ground up is so fulfilling to me and motivating that it honestly doesn't feel like work.
Give us some tips on, or maybe one or two things that have been crucial to get to where you're at now versus, when you were first getting started.
I think leveraging other people to help build. So for us, my husband and I, we built a real estate business. It was more than just investing passively in deals. And so building a business, something we had never done, there's a lot that comes with it. Building a website, kind of building content, putting that out, doing a lot of different things, like day-to-day little tasks like that. And I quickly realized as I started building my website, like, I cannot do this. I almost threw my laptop out the window because I'm like, how do you code? Like, I just could not figure it out. And it was so frustrating to me. And then I was like, there's people who love doing this and people who could do it in a fraction of the time that it's taking me to do it. And there's professionals out there, like I am in nursing, that you can pay to do this task for you. Like, you don't have to do it as a business owner. You don't have to have that gold star saying, well, I built my website. Like, like you can outsource that stuff and it's still your business. So
I don't want that star.
yeah, no, me neither. So, I mean, leveraging sites like Fiverr. I know there's another one that I hear a lot that people talk about, but I use Fiverr. Go on there. They created doodle videos for us. They did some video editing. They helped build our website. Even when I now want like a little tweak on my website, I just go to my guy who built it and I send him a quick message and I'm like, can you make this happen for me? So just little things like that, realizing you don't have to do it all. You can leverage other people with highly skilled in what you need done and use that.
It is a big mindset shift in the beginning. I remember, you think, I'm going to save this money and do it myself. And you're not saving any money.
No.
For all the time and the stress. Yeah. You can have it done in a fraction of the time. I have it done so much better. I try to outsource almost everything now that I can because these people are better at these tasks, right? There's certain things I have to do, but there's other things that I don't. So what's been the hardest part of the syndication process or getting into the syndication business for you?
I think for me, initially, it was raising money from other people. That was something that, like I said, you start having those conversations with friends and family, and it's kind of like that hurdle you have to jump over of like, this is what I'm doing now, that you're educated to do it. For us, to kind of cross that bridge quicker, we enrolled in a mentorship program. We got a coach kind of behind us to overlook our deals, and that kind of backed our action with confidence. And I know a lot of people get stuck on like taking that first step and taking that first form of action. And for us, we wanted to eliminate that fear by enrolling in a coaching mentorship program to kind of have that experience behind us. Someone with 20 years experience, overlooking all our underwriting, bouncing all these ideas off of, looking at this property with us and being like, hey, this is a good deal. Like, this is great. Like, maybe tweak this or that, or kind of getting creative with different strategies. I know when we first got into the syndication business, we were like looking for steps of like, okay, well, this is how you structure a deal and this is what you need to do. And you need to do this split and this is how many investors. But then as we're starting to use the underwriting spreadsheet, there's so many different ways that you can structure a deal. You can get so creative with all the different ways that you can either split it, kind of build equity and kind of exit strategies, different returns. You can tweak so much within the underwriting tool itself. And it's so eye-opening to really do that, because then you understand you really do have a lot of flexibility with these deals. But going back to kind of raising that money from family and friends, it was that allowed us to have the confidence in those conversations. And then it gave people to have that confidence in us as we started doing our first couple deals and rolling through it. And then kind of the taboo of talking about money. I think with friends and family, it's a very taboo topic. People don't like talking about it. And unfortunately, I think it's because a lot of people associate their worth with how much they make or how much money they have, which is so incorrect. But it can be weird to kind of have those conversations and uncomfortable for a lot of people. So at that point, it's really just educating. I mean, that was our huge motivation behind building a brand, was now we have this place with a website and YouTube videos and blogs that people can hop onto and educate themselves with all respects of syndication. That was the biggest thing I learned, because I didn't have that platform when I first started having those conversations, and they were so lengthy and there was a lot of questions, and I was referring them to kind of other material. And then I quickly realized, like, I need to have a place, like a website, where I can put all this content, where if I have someone who's interested in investing with us, I can refer them over here. They get really all their questions answered. And then at that point, they decide if they want to invest or not. And then they're really just looking at our next deal and deciding whether or not they want in or out.
It is such another mindset shift there, and I'm glad you brought that up. If you've educated yourself, then most people that you talk to, especially family and friends, you're going to be so much more knowledgeable about this than they are. It can answer most of their questions, right? But that mentor also gives you a lot of confidence. And so, Savannah, as far as the deals you all are looking at, how do you prepare for a potential downturn?
What do you mean downturn? Like,
just like a downturn in the market,
Okay.
if you're looking at deals moving forward. So I ask most operators or,
Yeah.
syndicators, just like, what's your thoughts on, or if you're looking at other deals, how do you like to see that other operators are prepared for, a downturn of some kind in the market?
Yes. Yeah. So this is definitely having familiarity in the market that you're investing in. We look regularly at multiple markets, because multiple different markets perform differently. And just even historically and in the future, I mean, there's different factors that influence whether a certain market is going to underperform or overperform. So we keep really up to date with real estate news. We are a part of a lot of real estate communities where people are investing in certain markets, and we follow the trends. I mean, even if you hop on Instagram and start following a lot of real estate professionals and investors, they're putting out a lot of educational content showing kind of what's going on with markets. So we make sure to really kind of stay up on those trends. We also really just underwrite all our deals very conservatively. That's something that a mentor taught us when we originally started underwriting deals. And there's so many different ways to pad those deals in the underwriting process with extra reserves. I mean, when you're raising rents, instead of doing it by 8%, 9% a year, 3 to 5%, looking kind of what's on average in your market, and then titrating and changing those numbers to reflect what's more realistic. So I think really just with that respect, making the underwriting very conservatively in all respects in the initial underwriting phase really kind of saves you down the road, regardless of the volatility of the market and what's going to be happening.
Do you have any predictions, say, for the next 6 to 12 months? Are you all buying? Are you sitting on the sidelines? What's your thoughts about how you all are moving forward over the next year?
Yes, we're buying. We're submitting offers. We've submitted a couple this week already in the markets that we're investing in. I think that there is a lot that's going to be coming by sitting and waiting as well. I think it depends on kind of what you're looking at, and then also, again, what market you're in, because some markets were hit by COVID pretty hard. I mean, I just looked at something that the population in New York and Los Angeles has drastically decreased over the last year, which is shocking to me because I live here and there's people everywhere. But and so, naturally housing prices might fall after that. I mean, which is kind of crazy because California is such a high appreciating market. And even over the next year, I think the next top performing, like, best places to rent in, I saw a list on Bigger Pockets for the cities were in California, which was still shocking to me, even though the population trend. So it's kind of hard to tell, but we stay very kind of secure in multifamily real estate for a lot of different reasons. I mean, it is, compared to other investment strategies, very low risk, and we have a lot of comfort in that. So we're continuing to take down deals.
Savannah, do you have any daily habits that you are disciplined about that have helped you achieve success?
Yes. They're not even, I guess, real estate related, but meditation and juicing. Those are kind of my things. I make sure to meditate every day. I try to do this in the morning, but depending how my 1-year-old is sleeping at night, I don't always make it up to do that. And so sometimes I'll be doing it at night, but that's really just a practice that I implemented a few years ago that really brings me even so much creativity in those moments of silence. I just love meditating. And then juicing. I mean, that's just, I think it's so much to have very good daily habits like that. And they really just kind of build on each other. And I've just seen a lot of good things happen with those two things.
Juicing's not another name for coffee, is it?
That's my AM juice for sure. No, I try and hit like a really heavy green or root juice at night after my workout. That's kind of my thing.
I wanted to ask you too. I know I just pulled up your website too. Very professional, by the way. Congratulations on making that happen. That's
Thanks,
a
Fiverr.
big undertaking, like you said. And through Fiverr. So I wanted to give you just a minute because we're about out of time. But ways you've improved your business, or maybe even used technology to get to where you're at now. It's a big question. It's a kind of a lot of people get frustrated, right, and overwhelmed by all these things. Even like a website for sure. What were, one or two things that helped you to make that happen and just to further the technology piece along?
Yeah. Looking what other people were doing and what was working. For me as a consumer, I love Instagram. That's kind of my main source of social media. And I love podcasts. Podcasts were what got me started in real estate. I was on maternity leave and I was listening to 1 to 2, 3 podcasts every day on my walks, at night, while I was cooking, on road trips. Podcasts are my thing. And so that's why I am now trying to record podcasts, because that's kind of my way to give back and kind of share what I'm doing. That was how, as a consumer, I connected the most. So that's really my strategy with that. And then also Instagram as well. And then I think, again, being intentional about what you want to do, because especially with marketing and social media and the internet, there's a lot of different things that will try and steal your attention. And I mean, even I know there's a new app out called Clubhouse or something, and a couple of people have invited me to it and talking about it. And honestly, I haven't even looked at it because I'm like, okay, I already got like my things going for me right now. I'm trying to put a lot of my time and effort into those before learning something new. Not knocking learning something new. Obviously, if you see like TikTok blowing up like it is, and you think like, oh, okay, maybe I'm gonna reach my investors or my avatar through this form of social media, then maybe you'd kind of want to pivot and seek that out. But for me right now, just being intentional about what I have going for me at this moment and then chipping away at it.
What's your best source for meeting new investors right now?
Probably LinkedIn. Yeah, there's a lot of people on that website. And I think that people are very professional and intentional about what they're seeking on that platform specifically. Instagram can be kind of more of a time waster in a respect, depending on what accounts you're following and what stuff people are putting out. But it seems like on LinkedIn, the content that people are putting out is always very informative and professional. And I've had a lot of people just reach out to a lot of people investing and learning from people. And I've met a lot of cool people on there.
Nice. Are there any tools, anything you've used to automate that process?
Not necessarily. I'm honestly just learning as I go. One thing about Facebook, because I had never had Facebook until a few months ago when I launched this brand, the Networth Nurse. And there's a lot of groups on there, which I've always heard about. I just was never a part of them, but there's groups for literally everything. So, I mean, I'm a part of nursing, healthcare professional groups, and then I'm also a part of a bunch of real estate groups. And I found that you can even pop in and scroll through and see what people are posting, and you can kind of look and reach out to certain people that are kind of doing what you want to do, or you feel like there'd be some common ground. And that's kind of a good way to see people and be more intentional about who you're reaching out to.
What's the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
Grit, I think. I love the word grit. I have it. That's something I kind of instilled in my life after college. I just kind of hit some downs in my life. And then after reading that Grit book by Angela Duckworth and learning that there is struggle and to overcome and to keep pushing forward and to not give up, and those are qualities that I think I thought you were born with or that people just had. And the people that were high achievers, it's something that they just have and other people didn't. And then after reading that book, I'm like, oh, I can accumulate this stuff. Like I can instill grit in my life by doing this and that and overcome and keep achieving. And that was kind of a huge mind shift for me.
Thanks for sharing that for sure, Savannah. And how do you like to give back?
Connecting with other people. That's huge for me. I love talking real estate with people. I'm trying to do these podcasts and I've had good results with people reaching out to me. And I love it when people are like, oh, I listened to you on this and like, kind of, what are you doing? And kind of sharing different ways that we could help each other. And the cool thing about real estate is the more you give back to people, the more people want to give back to you. And it's just this vicious cycle of people helping each other. And I love it.
Nice. Well, Savannah, it's been a pleasure to get to meet you, hear more about your story, and really just your drive to, I mean, even while 2 full-time jobs, 2 children at home, you're still able to make this business happen. You know, I remind the listener, I mean, you were up at 5:30 this morning or earlier, to be here on this podcast this morning. So appreciate that drive. I had to do the same thing, still doing it because it's just the way I feel like I'm wired, to go. But grateful for your time again, and just going through why syndication, why multifamily, even when you all had a different plan all the way across the country and pivoting, but the importance of finding your why and the limiting beliefs and pushback, some of that you've received and how you've dealt with that, and the importance of being able to leverage other people and their money, where you and they can benefit as well. So grateful again. How can the listeners get in touch with you and learn more about you?
Yes, the Networth Nurse under all social media handles. So LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can find me under the Networth Nurse. That's also my website. And my email is savannah@thenetworthnurse.com. I love connecting with people. So even if you're remotely interested in anything I'm saying, reach out to me. I'd love to chat.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.